If you like the following story, please consider liking and subscribing. Your support helps more than you know. We will have more stories coming shortly. Thank you for choosing this one to listen to. My name is Andrew. I'm 42 years old, a structural engineer, a father of two, and a man who believed marriage was a promise you honored even when it got hard. For 15 years, I loved one woman, Rachel. We met at university. She was vibrant, magnetic, alive in every way that lit up my world. She was drawn to my calm, my focus, the way I made her feel safe, and I was drawn to her wild heart, her laughter, her passion. We grew up together, built a life, a modest home just outside Surrey. Two beautiful children, Daniel, 12, and Lily, 9. I worked long hours so she could stay home when they were small. She returned to work part-time last year, marketing firm in the city. More hours, more stress. But we were doing okay, or so I thought. The signs were there, in hindsight. She stopped laughing at my jokes. She stopped reaching for my hand. She dressed differently, carried herself like she had something to prove. But I never asked. Because I trusted her. Because love, real love, means you don't spy. You don't assume the worst. You give space, and you wait. That night, everything changed. The kids were staying with her sister. Dinner was quiet, roast lamb, red wine, candlelight. She barely touched her plate. Didn't say much. Then she looked at me with an expression I didn't recognize. It wasn't anger, it wasn't love, it was distance. Like she had already made peace with something I hadn't even been told yet. "Andrew," she said softly, "I need to talk to you, and I need you to listen without interrupting." My heart sank. Something about her voice, measured, rehearsed, made me sit straighter. "I'm listening," I said, even though I wasn't ready. She took a breath. "I feel like I've disappeared. I'm a wife, a mother, a colleague, but I don't know who I am anymore." I said nothing. Let her speak. Let her unravel whatever this was. "I want 30 days, she said. "To do what?" "To be free. Completely. I want us to try an open marriage for 1 month. No rules, no questions." The silence that followed was loud. "You want to sleep with someone else," I said flatly. She hesitated. "I want the freedom to. Yes. And I want you to have that too." I stared at her, like she'd grown a second head. "Let me get this straight," I said quietly. "You want to step out of this marriage, risk everything we've built, and you want me to just nod and go along?" "I want to feel alive again," she said, eyes shining, not with tears, but with conviction. "I want to explore who I am without the roles I've been playing." "Roles?" I repeated, stunned. "You mean our life, our children, me?" She flinched. "I knew you'd take it this way. There's no other way to take it," I said, rising from the table. She stood too, held her ground. "I'm not asking for forever. I just need 30 days. Space. Permission to breathe. And yes, that means you can do the same." I stopped. "You're giving me permission to cheat on you?" "It's not cheating," she said. "Not if we both agree. Not if we're honest. I don't want secrets. I don't want guilt. I want us both to be free. And then, at the end of the month, we come back together and decide where we go from there." I looked at her, hard. "And what? We just pick up like nothing happened?" She shook her head. "No. I know it won't be the same. But I hope it will be stronger. Clearer. I'm not leaving you, Andrew. I'm not asking for a divorce. I still want us, just, with truth between us, even if it's messy." I walked to the window, looked out at the garden we planted together last spring. The swing set I built with my bare hands, the place we said we'd grow old in. "Rachel," I said, still facing the glass, "if you do this, you are risking everything. Our marriage, my trust, the stability of our family." She was quiet. "This isn't a break," I said, turning to face her. "This is a detonation. You don't get to light the fuse and hope the pieces fall back together." "I'm not doing this to hurt you," she said. "I'm doing it for me. But I'm also doing it because I still believe in us." "I do." I nodded slowly. "Then let me be clear." I walked back to the table, picked up the contract she'd typed. "Read it like a man reading his own death certificate. If you go through with this, Rachel, you might come back to this house, but you won't be coming back to a husband." Her breath caught, her eyes flickered. Tears welled up. I saw doubt there. A flicker of realization. "I mean it," I said firmly. "If you walk out that door and give your body to another man, this marriage is over in every way that matters. I will raise our children. I will co-parent. But I will never look at you the same again." She opened her mouth, closed it. A long pause hung between us. "I love you," she said. "I always will." "Then don't do this," I replied. "I have to," she whispered. "No," I said. "You choose to. Just don't pretend this is brave or beautiful. It's selfish. And if you go, know exactly what you're leaving behind." She turned away, went upstairs, packed a bag, And I stood there, not begging, not crying, just burning inside. Because I knew, once she crossed that line, she would never be my wife again. I made it 6 days before I broke. 6 days of pretending. 6 days of waking up to her messages and going to sleep with the ghost of her lips on my skin. 6 days of brushing my teeth in a bathroom that still held her scent. 6 days of folding the laundry she left behind and tucking her pillow back into place like she might walk through the door at any moment. 6 days of smiling for the kids, packing lunches, and whispering reassurances. I didn't believe myself. I told myself I was strong, that I could wait, that I could endure 30 days for the woman I loved. But love begins to rot in the absence of respect, and her sweet texts began to sound like lullabies sung over a crime scene. Thinking of you, love. I miss your hugs. Can't wait to see your face. Each message dug into me like a splinter under the nail, because I knew she wasn't just thinking of me. She wasn't just missing me, she was with someone else. Someone who had no history with her, no mortgage, no stretch marks, no decade of inside jokes and children's birthdays. He just had her now. While I had memories. And memories don't warm a bed. They don't kiss you goodnight. So on the seventh night, I didn't drink. I didn't wallow. I drove. No destination, just motion. Trying to outrun the stillness of the house. I found myself near the city. The lights were alive. People laughing. Couples holding hands. It felt like a different world. One I hadn't belonged to in years. There was a bar on the corner. Nothing flashy. Warm light spilled through the windows. Music hummed beneath the chatter. I went in, found a corner booth. Ordered a pint. The first sip tasted like guilt. The second, like relief. I sat alone, nursing the third. Watching the world move without me. Then she walked in. Not Rachel, someone new. She was tall. Dark hair, loosely pinned. A red coat. A kind face that looked like it had known both laughter and heartbreak. She sat at the bar, ordered a wine. And I don't know why, but I looked her way. She caught my glance. Smiled softly. It wasn't flirtation. It was recognition. Like she saw something in me. Or maybe I just wanted to be seen. After a while, she came over. Mind if I sit? I shook my head. Please. Her name was Sophie. She worked in publishing. Recently divorced. No kids. We talked. And I smiled more in that hour than I had in weeks. She was sharp. Funny. Warm. She asked questions that mattered. Listened like my answers weren't just noise. She touched my wrist once when I said something that made her laugh. And my skin remembered what affection felt like. I looked into her eyes, and for a split second, I thought about it. Crossing that line. Not for revenge. Not to win some twisted game Rachel never admitted we were playing. But because Sophie was present, because I was hurting, and because maybe, just maybe, I deserved something kind. She leaned in. Her breath was soft and close, and then I pulled back. I'm married, I said, quietly, firmly. Her eyes searched mine, and she nodded. I figured, she said. She didn't look disappointed. Just respectful. You must really love her, she added. I looked down. I don't even know who she is anymore. But you haven't given up, Sophie said. No, I whispered. Not yet. She smiled gently. Held my gaze a second longer. Then that's something, and you're a good man, Andrew. I left the bar alone, got in my car, sat in the quiet for a long time. Rachel texted me at 11 p.m. I miss you. I hope you're okay tonight. I stared at the screen, and for the first time, I didn't feel warmth. I felt hollow. Because while I was turning down temptation to protect something sacred, she was out there redefining what sacred meant. And I didn't know how many more nights I could carry the weight of loyalty by myself. The next morning, I woke up to birdsong and a hollow ache in my chest. Rachel's side of the bed was still untouched, her pillow still dented the way she left it. I lay there for a long time. Eyes open, staring at the ceiling fan slowly spinning above me, wondering if it would ever stop feeling like I was the only one trying. At 8 a.m., she texted, "Good morning, my love. Hope you slept okay. Thinking of you." I stared at the screen, and for the first time, I respond, "You love yourself, not me." Because what do you say to someone who's already decided their needs matter more than your peace? I made breakfast for the kids. Daniel wanted toast with peanut butter. Lily asked if Mum would be home for her piano recital. I lied. Again, maybe. I'll ask her. They didn't question it. They trusted me. That was the worst part. They trusted me. And I was holding a family together with tape and silence. I dropped them at school, watched them run inside with backpacks bouncing, smiling, innocent, oblivious. Then I drove to work. But I didn't go in. I sat in the car park, hands on the wheel, thinking. My mind played two versions of Rachel. The woman I married, who cried at Disney films, who left me notes in my lunchbox, who sang off-key while doing dishes. And the woman now, who texted like a wife but behaved like a stranger. I couldn't reconcile them. At lunch, she sent another message. Wish I could hug you right now. You always made me feel safe. Safe. The word stuck in my throat like gravel, because she hadn't made me feel safe in weeks. I typed a reply, then deleted it, typed again, deleted. Everything sounded like a cry or a scream, so I said nothing. That night, I picked up the kids. Lily had drawn a picture at school. Our family. 4 stick figures. Mum, Dad, Daniel, Lily. We were holding hands, except Mum was a little further away, still there, but distant. Even Lily could feel it. That hit harder than anything else. At bedtime, I read them a story, tucked them in. Daniel asked if I was okay. I lied. Again, just tired, bud. I turned off their lights, closed the door, and stood in the hallway, letting the silence press in. My phone buzzed at 10 p.m. Love you so much. I miss your voice. I hope you're okay. Then another. Maybe we can go away somewhere after this. Just us. Reconnect. I stared at the messages. The audacity. She was out there living another life. Another bed. Another man's arms. And here she was, planning romantic getaways like a prize for my patience. I opened our shared photo album on my phone, saw a picture of us from 2 summers ago. Beach, her hair tangled in wind. My arms around her waist. Smiling. Alive. I didn't recognize the man in the photo. He looked safe, sure. I didn't feel like him anymore. I felt like a placeholder. A man standing in a ruined house, pretending the roof wasn't leaking. I lay in bed that night and whispered to the dark, if she loved me, she wouldn't be doing this. And the dark didn't argue. It just listened. On the 10th day, something in me cracked. Not in a dramatic way. No shouting, no smashing plates, just a quiet, internal snap. Like the last strand of rope fraying beneath a weight it was never meant to carry. I was brushing my teeth when it happened, staring at my reflection, toothbrush in hand. And I thought, I don't know the man in the mirror. He looks like me. But his eyes are too tired, his smile too forced, his shoulders too heavy. He's a man surviving his wife's vacation from commitment. And suddenly I felt ashamed. Ashamed of waiting, ashamed of pretending, ashamed of still loving someone who was already halfway gone. I sat on the edge of the tub and cried for the first time in years, not out of weakness, but because I was finally telling the truth to myself. I wasn't okay. I was breaking. I was mourning a marriage that was still technically breathing. And that's when the anger arrived, not explosive, but deep, heavy, righteous. She had lit the match. And I'd been standing in the fire, convinced my loyalty would keep the flames at bay. At lunchtime, I didn't check my phone, didn't wait for her daily drip of affection, didn't let her breadcrumbs lead me deeper into the woods. I worked, focused, said no when coworkers asked me to lunch. I needed the silence. That evening, I picked up the kids. We got drive-through, laughed about fries falling between the seats. I let them play video games too long, read them 2 bedtime stories instead of 1, and for the first time, I wasn't waiting for her messages. I was building something without her. At 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. I miss your voice. I wore your hoodie today. It still smells like you. And I felt nothing, no warmth, no ache, just quiet. A calm place where the rage had been. And I realized something important. I don't owe her my suffering. I don't owe her my stillness. I don't owe her 30 days of pretending I'm not bleeding while she dances through her freedom. She had taken her space. But I hadn't claimed mine, so I started that night. I turned off my phone. I opened my laptop. I pulled up a folder of old photos, not of us, but of me. Before Rachel, before the house, before the vows. I saw a younger man, hungry, hopeful, whole. And I whispered to him, I haven't forgotten you. I'm coming back. Because even if she returned, even if she cried and begged and bled truth from her mouth, I needed to know who I was without her, before I could ever decide if she still deserved a place in the man I was becoming. The next day began like the one before. Sunlight slipping through the blinds. The house quiet, the way it always was now. But something inside me had shifted. The silence no longer felt like a void. It felt like mine. I didn't wait for her message. I didn't scroll our old photos or rehearse conversations that would never happen. Instead, I ran, laced up my old trainers and hit the pavement. Mile after mile, I pounded the guilt out of my lungs, felt the blood rush, the sting of cold air, the ache in muscles long ignored. I was alive, and not because of her, not because of anything she'd done or promised or broken, but because somewhere inside me, a man still existed who knew how to stand alone. That afternoon, I took the kids to the park. We had ice cream. Daniel raced his bike across the grass. Lily picked flowers and handed them to me like treasure. Do you think Mum misses us? She asked softly. I knelt beside her, brushed her hair back. I think she misses something, but I don't know if she knows what it is yet. She nodded like she understood more than she should. That night, Rachel finally noticed my silence. At 9 p.m., the first message came. You okay? Haven't heard from you today? Then at 10 p.m., Andrew? At 11 p.m., please say something. I'm worried. And finally, are you mad at me? I stared at the screen, not out of malice, not to punish, but because for the first time, I understood that her worry wasn't about me. It was about control, about comfort, about knowing I was still there, waiting like a good man should. But I wasn't waiting anymore. I was learning how to breathe again. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned off the light, listened to the quiet, felt the weight of 1,000 unsaid things lift slightly off my chest, and before I fell asleep, I made a promise I wouldn't chase her. I wouldn't explain myself. If she wanted to come back, she'd have to face the man I'd become, not the one she left behind. By day 13, the shift between us was no longer subtle. Rachel could feel it, and I knew because she was texting more now, longer messages, more emojis, more memories. I passed the bakery today where you proposed. Do you remember how nervous you were? I dreamed about you last night. You were holding Lily on your shoulders, and we were all laughing. I miss you, Andrew. I miss us. I read them, every word. But I didn't answer, not because I hated her, but because I finally realized something painful and powerful. She missed me because she thought I'd always be there, and now she wasn't sure. On day 14, she called. Twice. I didn't pick up. Then the third time, I did. Silence. Breathing. Then her voice, soft, trembling. Andrew? Yes. A pause, a breath. I feel like I'm losing you. You started that process, I said gently. I'm just finally stepping out of your shadow. She sniffled. I never meant for this to hurt you, but you knew it would. I didn't think it would be this hard. For who? I asked. You or me? Because I've been living with the fallout while you've been finding yourself. She hesitated. I just needed space, clarity. You're out there enjoying yourself, I said sharply. Going where you want, sleeping when you want, touching whoever you want. And I'm here, making packed lunches, wiping tears, answering our daughter's questions every night about when her mother is coming home. She was quiet. I could hear her breathing change. You said it would be open, Rachel, for both of us. When was my turn? I didn't think you'd want that, she stammered. You didn't let me, I said. You handed me freedom in words, but left me no time, no space. You vanished and left me holding the whole family together. She started crying, real tears now, panic in her voice. I didn't want it to be like this. I thought you'd understand. I thought maybe we'd come back stronger. You didn't think about anything but yourself. That's not true, she said quickly. I think about you all the time. I miss you. I miss our mornings. I miss the way you make tea, just the way I like it. I miss your laugh, your arms. God, I miss your arms around me. You should have missed them before you left, she sobbed. I want to come back. I want to make this right. Please, Andrew, don't shut me out. Don't give up on us. I haven't given up, I said, but I'm not where you left me either. I still love you, she whispered. I know, I said. But now you're going to have to prove it. How? She asked, voice cracking. By choosing me. Every day, without conditions, without escape routes, without needing to disappear to remember who you are. She was quiet, shaking, broken, and maybe for the first time since this began, truly afraid of what she'd done. You still love me, right? She begged. Yes, I said, but I love myself too now, and that changes everything. She didn't reply, and I didn't chase. Because healing had taught me that sometimes silence isn't cruel, it's clarity. Day 15. The halfway point. I stood at the kitchen counter, staring at the divorce papers I'd pulled up online. I hadn't downloaded them, not yet. But they were there, waiting, just like I'd been. Rachel didn't text in the morning. Maybe she sensed the shift. Maybe she finally understood what the silence meant. I took the kids to the park. We kicked a football around. Lily braided clovers into a crown. And in the back of my mind, the question circled like a vulture. How do you come back from betrayal? Not just a kiss, not just a lie, but the deep kind, the kind where someone chooses someone else's body over your trust. At 2 p.m., Rachel finally messaged, I need to talk to you, please. It's important. At 3 p.m., I know you're angry. I know I've broken us. But I'm ready to fix this, if you'll let me. I didn't answer, not out of cruelty, but because I needed her to feel it. The weight, the consequence, the hollow ache of being on the outside. At 9 p.m. she called. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. She didn't speak at first, just breathed, shaky, quiet. Andrew, she finally whispered, I'm here. I want to come home. You think it's that simple, I asked. No, she said quickly. No, I don't. I miss you. I miss everything. I'm so sorry. I've been thinking, I said. I looked up divorce paperwork this morning, she gasped. No, no, please don't say that. It's not a threat, I said calmly. It's reality. One you created. Don't say divorce, please, Andrew. I don't want that. I love you. I love our family. I just made the worst mistake of my life. I let her speak. Let the desperation fill the line. Then I asked, why? She sniffled. What do you mean? Why did you feel the need to sleep with other men? Silence. Was I not enough? Was our life not enough? Did the home we built bore you? Did the love I gave feel too quiet? She started to cry. I was lost, Andrew. I don't have a better excuse. I thought I needed to feel something new. I thought it would help me find clarity. But all I found was shame, emptiness, regret. How many? I asked. Her breath caught. I need to know. Don't protect me from the truth. I've earned it. Two, she whispered. I closed my eyes. Let the pain settle deep in my chest. And when do I get my turn? I asked, voice sharp. She broke into sobs. I don't want you to. I can't bear the thought of you with someone else. But you expected me to bear it. For you, for your clarity. I was selfish, she said through tears. I didn't think it would cost me you. It might still, I replied. She was silent, breathing hard. I want to come home. Please, I'll do anything. I'll sleep on the floor. I'll rebuild every brick you let me. Just don't give up on me. This isn't about whether you want to come back, I said. It's about whether there's anything left to come back to. I'll fight for it, she begged. I swear. I'll go to therapy. I'll confess everything. I'll never lie again. Just please, don't leave me. I'm not making promises tonight, I said. I understand, she whispered. I need time. And you're going to have to sit in that discomfort. Because that's what you gave me. That's what you gave our children, she cried openly now. I'm so sorry, Andrew. I'm so sorry. Words are cheap, Rachel. I'll show you, she said. I'll prove it. Every day. I'll spend the rest of my life proving it if you let me. We'll talk again tomorrow. She hesitated, then said softly, I love you. I loved you enough not to leave when you walked away, I said. Then I ended the call and sat in the dark, alone, heavy, but clear. She wanted to come home. But first, she would have to understand exactly what she destroyed. Day 16. The morning light was soft, the sky overcast. It should have felt like any other Thursday. But something had changed. Rachel hadn't texted, hadn't called, and I knew why. She was sitting in the truth now. The same truth I'd been drowning in for 2 weeks. Except now, it was her turn to feel the chill. I made the kids breakfast. Took Daniel to football practice. Watched Lily ride her bike in crooked little circles outside the house. And I felt steady, still angry, still grieving, but steady. Because I wasn't holding on to her anymore. I was holding on to myself. That afternoon, she showed up, no warning, no message, just her car pulling into the driveway like nothing had changed. She stepped out slowly, a duffel bag in one hand. Tired eyes, red from crying. I opened the door before she knocked, stood there, blocking the entrance. She looked at me like she wasn't sure if she should speak or fall to her knees. Can I come in? She asked softly. Why? I said. I need to see the kids. They're at my sister's, I lied. It bought me time. Time to look at her without them watching. Time to see what she was made of now that the fantasy was over. Andrew, she whispered. Please, I know you hate me. I know I broke something sacred. You didn't just break it, I said coldly. You burned it, lied about the reason, and left me with 2 confused children who keep asking why Mom doesn't come home anymore. Tears welled in her eyes instantly, but I didn't move. Didn't reach for her. I made a mistake, she said. No, you made decisions, I corrected. Over and over. You dressed for them, drove to them, undressed for them, lied to yourself, lied to me. And now that the high is gone, you want to come crawling back to what's comfortable. She started to sob. I don't want comfort. I want you. I want to fix us. You already said that, I replied. Last night, over the phone, but standing here, it feels different. Like you don't know what you're asking for. I'm asking for a second chance. And I'm asking why I should give it. She didn't answer right away. I saw his face this morning, she said softly. The man I was with. He looked at me like I was a transaction. Nothing more. Not love, not safety, not real. And I realized I gave up everything for that. For a thrill that lasted hours while you've been holding this family together for years. She stepped forward. I don't care if you scream at me. I don't care if you don't trust me. I just want to be here. To earn it. One day at a time. From the couch. From the floor. From whatever place you'll let me start from. I looked at her for a long moment, and then I stepped aside. 30 days, I said quietly. She looked up, confused. What? You had your 30 days. Now I get mine. She blinked. Didn't speak. No guilt. No calls, no texts, no tracking me down. You'll stay here, you'll be mum. You'll live with the discomfort, and I'll live my life without explanations, just like you did. Tears rolled down her face. And after 30 days, she asked, I'll decide if there's anything left worth saving. Her lip trembled, her voice broke. I'll wait, as long as it takes. I deserve that. I nodded. You do, and I shut the door gently in her face. Not to hurt her, but to protect what was left of me. Because love isn't always about holding on, sometimes it's about letting go. Just long enough to see what comes back whole. The first day of my 30 began with silence, not emptiness, just quiet. Rachel was in the house again, sleeping in the guest room, moving through the kitchen like a ghost. She didn't speak unless spoken to, didn't touch me, didn't linger. The kids were surprised. They lit up when they saw her that morning. Lily threw her arms around her waist. Daniel asked if she was staying. She looked at me, waiting for permission. I said nothing. She knelt down. I'm here for now, she said gently, because I love you both so much. They believed her. Because they wanted to. Because they hadn't learned yet how easily love can lie. I left the house after breakfast. No plans, just motion. I drove through the countryside, windows down, music low. The air smelled clean. Like spring. Like maybe something new could grow where something old had burned down. She texted me at noon, thank you for letting me be here. I didn't reply. This wasn't about gratitude. It was about reflection, accountability, time. At 3 p.m. she texted again, unfolding the laundry. I found one of your old sweatshirts. Still smells like you. I ignored it. She wasn't here to flirt, she was here to learn. That night, I returned home around 6. The kids were eating dinner. She had cooked lasagna, garlic bread, like it was some normal Wednesday. She didn't sit with us, just served the plates and stepped back, watched from the kitchen door with red-rimmed eyes. After the kids were in bed, she knocked softly on my door. I didn't answer. She stood outside for a long minute, then slid a note under the door. I stared at it for a while, eventually picked it up. Her handwriting was shaky, tear-stained. Day 1, I'm here. I didn't touch my phone today except to text you. I read Lily a book tonight and she held my hand. I cried when she fell asleep. I wanted to hold you. I didn't. I won't cross your line, but I'll be here every day until you believe I've changed. I folded the note, put it in the drawer, didn't reply, not yet. Because this wasn't a countdown to forgiveness. It was a test, a mirror. And maybe at the end of my 30 days, I'd still love her. But it would be my choice, freely given, earned. Not dragged from the wreckage. Not handed out like a trophy for surviving her storm. Day 2. I woke up early. The house was quiet. Rachel was already up. I smelled coffee in the kitchen. But I didn't go down, not right away. I sat at the edge of my bed and stared at the floor, reminding myself I had every right to feel what I felt. Every right to move slow. To protect the space I'd fought to create. By the time I walked into the kitchen, she had made breakfast. Pancakes for the kids. Black coffee just how I like it. The plate sat at my usual spot, untouched, waiting. She didn't look at me, didn't speak, just kept wiping down a counter that was already clean. The kids chatted like nothing had changed. Daniel asked if we could go to the movies this weekend. I said maybe. Lily told Rachel she liked having her back. I looked up when she said that. Watched Rachel's eyes fill with tears. She quickly blinked away. After breakfast, I stepped out. Needed air. I walked the neighborhood. Thought about the nights I used to wait for her text like it was oxygen. Now I barely looked at my phone. At noon, I saw her in the backyard, kneeling in the garden, pulling weeds with her bare hands, dirt on her knees, sweat on her brow. I stood behind the glass door and watched her for a while. She didn't know I was there. And something about that made it feel honest, like she was finally cleaning up more than just the yard. That evening, she made dinner again, didn't sit, didn't speak unless asked. When I put the kids to bed, Daniel hugged me tight and whispered, I hope Mum stays. I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged him back. Later, another note slid under my door. No knocking this time. Day 2. I spent the afternoon pulling weeds. Felt like a metaphor. I'd been sowing poison into something beautiful, and now I'm down here, trying to dig it out root by root. Lily hugged me today. I almost broke. But I didn't cry until after she left the room. I know you're watching. I hope you see me. The real me. Not the broken one who left, but the woman who is trying to come home. I folded the note, put it next to the first. Didn't reply. Because 2 days of trying doesn't undo 2 weeks of betrayal. But it's a start, a beginning. And beginnings, if nothing else, deserve honesty. Day 3. It rained. The kind of steady drizzle that made everything quiet, muted, still. I sat in the living room with a cup of tea watching water streak down the window. Rachel was in the laundry room, folding towels. I could hear the soft rhythm of fabric and breath. I hadn't spoken to her directly since she arrived, and yet her presence was everywhere. The coffee, the meals, the way she cleared the table without asking. She was trying, I saw it, but I was still bleeding, still asking questions she hadn't answered. Still living in a version of our life where everything I believed had cracked open. Around noon, she knocked on the door frame gently, didn't cross in, just stood there with damp eyes. "I'm going to the store," she said. "Do you need anything?" I shook my head, didn't speak. She waited, almost like she was hoping I'd stop her, but I didn't. She left. The silence returned. Later that afternoon, Lily asked if we could bake cookies. I said yes. The kitchen filled with flour and giggles. It felt warm, almost like before. Rachel came back just as we pulled the first tray out of the oven. She paused in the doorway, eyes wide. "I didn't know you were baking," she said, her voice small. Lily ran over with a grin and tugged her hand. "Come help us decorate." Rachel looked at me. I gave a small nod, just enough. She joined, sat beside Lily, spread icing with a trembling hand. And for a while, it felt like a family again. That night, after the kids went to bed, I found another note, tucked into my pillow this time. Day 3. It rained today, and I thought about how many storms you must have weathered alone while I was gone. I walked down the cereal aisle and passed your favorite brand, the one I used to tease you about. I put it in the cart anyway. It reminded me that love isn't about grand gestures. It's in the quiet things, the loyalty, the choosing, the staying. I failed you in every small way that mattered. And now I'm learning to love in silence, the way you've been doing all along. I read it twice, then folded it, placed it next to the others, still no reply. Because some silences weren't cruel. They were sacred, a place to listen. To rebuild trust brick by aching brick. Day 4. I woke up with a decision in my chest. A weight, not of confusion, but clarity. It was time to test the stillness. I didn't announce it. I didn't owe that. After breakfast with the kids, I got dressed with care. Clean shirt, crisp jeans, shaved, cologne. Rachel watched me from the kitchen doorway. Didn't say anything at first. Just followed my every move with her eyes. Finally, she asked, "Are you going somewhere?" I looked at her evenly. Yes. Her throat bobbed. "With someone?" Yes. She froze. Didn't ask who. Didn't dare. I walked past her, grabbing my keys. Paused at the door. "I'll be back late. Don't wait up." And I left. The sky was wide and open. The air cool. I drove with the windows down. Let the wind take some of the weight off my shoulders. Dinner was with a woman I'd met years ago through work. Sophie. Kind. Smart. Respectful. She knew my situation and asked nothing of me. We ate. Talked. Laughed. Nothing physical. No touching. Just connection. Curiosity. Possibility. She looked at me like I was still a man worth knowing, not a man who'd been gutted by someone he trusted. I didn't check my phone once. By the time I returned home, it was 2 a.m. The house was dark, still, but I could feel the tension humming in the walls. I walked upstairs, stopped outside the guest room. Her light was on beneath the door. She hadn't slept. Good. I went into my room, changed, sat on the edge of the bed. There was a note on my pillow again, but this one was different. The handwriting was shakier, tear-streaked, rushed. Day 4. You went out tonight. I don't know where. I don't know who with. But I felt it. That feeling you must have lived with every night I was gone. The sick ache, the fear, the not knowing. And it broke me. I lay in bed and cried like I haven't cried since I was a child. I don't want this, Andrew. I don't want open. I don't want space. I just want you. I'm sorry I ever asked you to feel what I felt tonight. Please, please don't walk where I walked. Don't leave like I left. I held the note in my hands for a long time. Not smiling, not gloating, just sitting with the quiet revenge of reality, because now she understood, and sometimes, that's the only justice love ever gives. Day 5. I slept in, not from exhaustion, from peace. For the first time in weeks, I didn't wake up to ache, I didn't reach for my phone, I didn't rehearse grief. Rachel was already up. The kids were downstairs, watching cartoons. The smell of toast and jam filled the air. I walked into the kitchen slowly. She looked up. Eyes swollen, makeup free. She was in an old hoodie of mine. I wasn't sure if it was a peace offering or a habit. "Good morning," she said. "Morning," I replied. That was it. She handed me a cup of coffee, didn't speak, didn't ask about the night before. But I saw it in her posture, the way her hands trembled when she buttered the toast. She was shaken. Good. She needed to feel what it was like to be on the edge of someone else's choices. To wonder if the person you love still belonged to you. The kids were cheerful. Oblivious. Lily asked if we could go to the zoo next weekend. I said maybe. Rachel smiled tightly and nodded. The rest of the day passed slowly. She gave me space, did the laundry, played board games with Daniel, read with Lily, but every time our eyes met, there was something behind hers, something raw, open. That night, I found no note under my door, no letter on my pillow. Instead, I found her sitting on the floor in the hallway, back against the wall, knees pulled to her chest. She looked up as I approached, didn't speak at first, just wiped at her cheeks. "I couldn't write tonight," she said softly. I nodded, waited. "I realized something," she continued. "That whole month I was gone, I thought I was chasing freedom. But I was really running from myself, from everything I didn't want to face, and I projected that onto you, made it your burden. That wasn't just unfair, it was cruel." She took a shaky breath. "I thought I could explore and still come back to safety, still come back to you. But what I did, it broke something. In me. In us. And now I see you walking away. Or maybe just walking alone. And I understand why." I sat down beside her, close, but not touching. "I wasn't out last night to hurt you," I said. "I know," she whispered. "You were out because you could be. Because I taught you how." Silence fell between us, heavy, necessary. "I never wanted to lose you," she said. "But you were willing to risk me," I replied. Her eyes closed. She nodded slowly. "I was selfish. You were dishonest. I was blind." "You chose blindness," I said. She started crying again. But this time, she didn't hide it. She let it fall, let it happen, and for the first time since she returned, I saw something real, not performance, not penance, but pain, honest pain. She stood slowly. "Good night, Andrew. Good night, Rachel." She walked away, and I stayed seated in the hallway. Because this wasn't forgiveness yet, it was just the beginning of truth. And truth takes time. Day 6. It was a Sunday. The kind of slow, still morning where the sky feels soft and the air holds its breath. I woke early, not from exhaustion, from peace. For the first time in weeks, I didn't wake up to ache. I didn't reach for my phone. I didn't rehearse grief. She was already downstairs. I heard the soft clatter of plates, the hum of the kettle, the familiar, aching rhythm of a life that used to be shared. I walked into the kitchen. She looked up and smiled, tentative, like she was waiting for the blow that never came. "Morning," I said. "Morning," she replied. I sat across from her, coffee waiting, hot, fresh, just how I liked it. "Thank you," I said, quietly. She blinked, surprised. I wasn't sure you'd drink it." I did. We sat in silence. It wasn't heavy this time, just real. Then I asked, "Have you told them?" Her face paled slightly. "Who?" "The men. The ones you were with. Did you tell them about me? About the kids?" She looked down, nodded slowly. "Yes, eventually. One didn't care. The other, I think he felt guilty. But not enough to stop." "And you?" I asked. "I felt everything," she whispered. "Shame, guilt, emptiness. I kept telling myself I deserved happiness, but all I found was hollowness. It didn't feel like freedom. It felt like erasing myself one night at a time." I nodded. Let her sit in the truth. "Was it better?" I asked quietly. She looked up, startled. "What, sleeping with them? Was it better than with me?" Her eyes filled instantly. "No," she said, shaking her head, "not even close." I held her gaze. "Did you care about us? About me? About the kids? When you were with them at night?" She flinched, pressed her hand to her mouth like the question punched the air from her lungs. "I tried not to think," she whispered. "Because when I did, when I let myself remember Lily's laugh, or the way you used to hold me, it made everything feel wrong. I knew it was wrong, but I kept doing it. I kept chasing that numbness." I stared at the table. The steam from my coffee had faded. "You weren't just unfaithful to me," I said. "You were unfaithful to who we were. To the version of you who stood beside me and promised forever." Tears welled again. But I didn't stop. "I need you to understand that every day I looked at our kids and didn't know what to say. That was real. That pain wasn't part of your journey. That was the wreckage you left behind." She nodded, crying. "I know, and I'll never stop regretting it." I looked out the window, watched a bird land on the fence, so light, so free. "When I was out the other night," I said, "I didn't do anything. I didn't even touch her hand." Rachel looked up, eyes wide. "I could have," I continued. "She wanted me to." She leaned in, laughed, touched my arm. "But I didn't go there, not because I couldn't, but because I still remembered what it felt like to choose you." Rachel broke then. Completely. She covered her face with both hands and sobbed. I waited, let her cry. When she looked back up, she whispered, "Why?" "Because I needed to know that I could still be the man I promised you I'd be, even when you forgot who you promised to be." She stood then, walked around the table, and knelt at my feet, took my hand in hers, held it to her chest. "I don't deserve you," she said. "No," I replied, "you don't. But love isn't about deserving, it's about choosing, every day. And I haven't decided yet if I can keep choosing you." She nodded, didn't protest, didn't beg. "I'll wait," she said, "for as long as it takes." And I believed her, but belief doesn't erase pain. It only lights the path forward. And that path was still long, still uncertain. But now, at least it was visible. Day 7. A full week. 7 days of silence, of subtle exchanges, of emotional weight pressing in on all sides. 7 days since she walked back into the house, not as a wife, but as a woman trying to reclaim something she shattered. This morning, I found her sitting at the dining table, already dressed, hair brushed, a quiet calm over her. She looked up as I entered, eyes tired but focused. "I've booked a session," she said. I raised a brow. "For what?" "Therapy. Individual." I studied her. Not just the words, but the way she said them. There was no performance in her voice, just effort. "Good," I said. She nodded. "I need help figuring out how I got so far away from who I was. From who I wanted to be." The kids came bounding down the stairs, backpacks slung over shoulders, shoes half-tied, voices loud and joyful. Rachel helped them with breakfast while I packed lunches. We moved like a team, one that hadn't existed for a long time. But it wasn't comfort I felt. It was a hollow space. Like I was living beside her, not with her. She was trying, and I couldn't deny that. But forgiveness wasn't a switch. It was a mountain, and I hadn't even found my footing on the slope. After the kids left for school, Rachel stood at the kitchen sink, hands resting on the counter. She didn't turn around when she spoke. "Do you ever think about what it would take to come back from this?" I leaned against the doorframe. "I think about it every day." And I exhaled slowly. "I don't know yet. There are moments, like watching you help Lily with her shoes, or hearing you hum while you wash dishes, that feel almost like before. But then I remember where you were, what you did, and it rips it all apart again." She turned then. Her eyes were glassy, not pleading, just open. "I'm not asking you to forget," she said. "I'm asking you to let me try. Even if it takes years." I nodded. "I'm not making promises. Not yet. But I haven't walked away either. That's something." She gave a faint smile. One of those smiles that carries both hope and heartbreak in the same breath. Later that night, I found her outside on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, staring up at the stars. "I used to sit here with tea while you read the kids their bedtime story," she said. "I remember. I didn't know how peaceful it was until I lost it." I sat beside her, not close, just near enough to hear her breathing. "I've started writing again," she said after a while. "Journaling, letters, even one to myself. The woman I was before all of this." "Is she still in there?" I asked. "I don't know," she whispered, "but I'm digging for her." Silence settled between us, comfortable for once. No demands, no expectations, just two people sitting beneath a sky wide enough to carry the weight of everything left unsaid. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger sitting next to her. I just felt tired, but not in a hopeless way, in a healing way. Day 8, Monday. The week started like all the others, too early, too loud, too fast. But this one felt different. There was less tension in the house. Not gone, not healed, but quieter. Like something inside both of us had stopped screaming. Rachel packed the kids' lunches. I poured the coffee. We didn't speak much, but we didn't have to. There was a rhythm again. After the kids left for school, I stayed in the kitchen, sipped my coffee slowly, stared out the window. Rachel lingered at the table, fidgeting with a napkin. "I wrote a letter," she said finally. "To me?" She nodded. "I wasn't going to give it to you, but I think I need to." She slid the folded paper across the table. I took it, waited until she left the room before I opened it. Her handwriting was neat, precise, like she'd written it a dozen times. "Andrew, there is no excuse for what I did. I won't waste your time trying to dress up selfishness as confusion. I betrayed you. I betrayed our vows. And I betrayed the quiet, steady love that you gave me every single day, even when I stopped deserving it. I want to explain. Not to justify, but to help you see the storm inside me. The truth is, I was drowning. And instead of reaching for your hand, I swam toward chaos. It made me feel alive for a moment. But it cost me everything. That man I ran to? He wasn't love. He wasn't even desire. He was a mirror of the parts of me I hated, the parts I didn't want you to see. But you saw me anyway, all of me. And I ran from that. Because I couldn't stand how deeply you loved me. Now, I'd give anything to feel that love again, to deserve it. I don't expect forgiveness. But I hope one day you'll see a woman sitting in front of you who isn't asking for the past back. Only a chance to build something honest, scarred, and real from what remains. Rachel. I folded the letter, set it aside, closed my eyes. It was the first thing she'd said since coming home that didn't sound like a script. Later that evening, Lily came into my office. She climbed into my lap, small and quiet. "Are you and Mum still sad?" she asked. I held her close. "We're trying not to be." She looked up at me. "You still love her?" I paused. "I don't know what kind of love it is right now, but yes, I think I do." She smiled and hugged me tighter. "Then maybe it's still growing." I didn't reply, just held her. Because children understand things in ways we forget. And maybe she was right. Maybe some love doesn't die, it just changes shape. That night, I found Rachel asleep on the couch, a journal open on her chest, pen in hand. And for the first time in a long time, I covered her with a blanket, not to forgive, not to forget, but to offer warmth, a small, human mercy. Because healing doesn't start with grand gestures. Sometimes, it starts with not walking away. Day 9. Tuesday. The house was still. I stood in the kitchen watching the kettle boil, the soft whistle growing louder as steam curled through the morning air. Rachel was upstairs helping Lily with her socks. Daniel was brushing his teeth. It all looked so normal, but there was a layer beneath it, thin, fragile, like glass. Like if we said the wrong thing, everything would shatter. She'd been gentle lately, measured, no more letters, no desperate apologies, just presence. It was harder to hate her when she wasn't begging, when she just existed in the space beside me, quiet, trying. I poured 2 mugs of tea, left one on the table, didn't say whose it was. When she came down, she paused by it. Eyes flickered to mine. I gave the faintest nod. She sat, took a sip. We said nothing. But something in the silence felt earned, not forced. After the kids left for school, I went for a walk. No destination. Just needed space. I ended up at a small park, same one we used to take the kids when they were toddlers. I sat on a bench and watched strangers move around me. Mothers with strollers, elderly couples, teenagers cutting class. I pulled out her letter again. Read it for the 3rd time. Slower this time. Word by word. And I felt something shift. Not trust. Not yet. But maybe the will to try. When I got home, she was cleaning out the garage. Dust on her hands. Cobwebs in her hair. Like she needed to clean something inside her by clearing everything around her. I didn't interrupt, just watched her for a moment, then went inside. That night, the kids had gone to bed early. I walked past the guest room. The door was slightly open. Rachel was inside, sitting on the floor, back against the bed, holding a photo of the 4 of us, at the beach, 2 summers ago. She didn't see me. Her thumb brushed over my face in the photo. She smiled and cried at the same time. And I didn't know why, but something inside me cracked open a little more. I didn't say anything, didn't walk in, but I didn't keep walking either. I stood there a while longer, silent witness to her quiet grief, because maybe healing starts with being seen, even when you think no one's looking. Day 10. The first full morning where I didn't wake up with a brick on my chest, just breath, steady. I sat outside with my coffee, watched the sun rise over the fence, watched dew dry off the grass. Rachel came out with her own cup. Didn't sit next to me, just nearby. Her presence no longer felt like an intrusion, just part of the air. She didn't speak, neither did I. But the silence had changed. It wasn't avoidance, it was a kind of peace. A soft hum of 2 people who had finally exhausted every scream, every accusation, and every tear. After a while, she stood. Went back inside. No need for goodbyes, no awkwardness. It felt like progress, small, but real. Around noon, my sister Claire called. She asked how I was doing, if the kids were okay. I hesitated. "They're doing better than me," I admitted. She was quiet for a beat, then said, "You sound different, calmer." "I think I'm just tired of being angry." Claire sighed. "You don't have to forgive her. But don't let her steal your peace, too." Her words landed. Solid, clear. That evening, Rachel made dinner. Nothing fancy. Spaghetti, garlic bread, a salad. The kids loved it. Daniel said it was just like old times. Rachel smiled softly. But I saw the flicker of pain in her eyes. She wasn't trying to live in the past. She was trying to build something in the shadow of it. After the kids went to bed, she stood at the bottom of the stairs. "Do you want to talk?" I nodded, walked past her, into the living room, sat. She followed, but kept her distance. "I don't expect answers," she said. I want you to know I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, even if this doesn't end the way I hope." I looked at her for a long moment, then asked, "What did you think would happen when you came back?" She swallowed. "I thought maybe you'd scream, maybe you'd shut me out. Maybe the kids wouldn't look at me the same. But you thought you'd come back," I said. She nodded. "I did, because I never stopped loving you." I leaned forward, elbows on knees. Then I asked the question that had been sitting under my skin for days. "Do you think it's possible to love someone and still betray them?" She didn't answer right away. Tears welled in her eyes. I loved you, but I stopped loving myself." And when that happens, you start doing things that make no sense. Things that destroy the people who love you most. Because you're trying to feel something, even if it's wrong. I nodded slowly, not agreement, just acknowledgement. I'm not the same man I was before this, I said. I know, she whispered. I don't even know if I want the same things anymore. I'll wait for you to figure it out, she said, even if it means I lose you. I looked at her, this woman I had once built my world around. This woman who tore it down. Now she sat in the rubble with me, not trying to fix it, just not leaving. And that, somehow, mattered. Maybe not enough yet, but maybe, someday. Day 11. There was a lightness in the morning. Barely there, but real. I caught myself humming while I poured coffee. Rachel was already sitting at the table, reading a book, not waiting for me. Just living. She glanced up when I came in, smiled faintly. I nodded back, poured 2 mugs, set one in front of her without a word. This time, she didn't look surprised, just grateful. And that was enough. After the kids left for school, she stayed in the kitchen, not out of obligation, but because the silence wasn't awkward anymore. It was starting to feel like something we could share again. We sat across from each other, both with our coffee, both with the same quiet thought, maybe this doesn't have to be the end. I found a box in the attic, she said suddenly. Old drawings, from when the kids were small. I smiled. Daniel used to draw stick figures with swords. Said he was a knight. Lily always drew hearts, she added. Big ones, with 4 people inside. The room felt warm, real. Later that day, I ran errands. Nothing major, groceries, a post office stop. But when I came back, I found her in the backyard. She was pulling weeds again. Same spot, same rhythm. But this time, she wasn't crying. She was just, focused, present. I walked out with a glass of water, handed it to her. She looked up, surprised. Thanks, she said. I sat down on the steps, watched her for a while, then said, You're doing a good job out here. She looked at me, eyes wide, then softened. Thank you. We sat there together, not saying much, just letting the late afternoon sun pull golden threads through the silence. That night, after the kids were in bed, she knocked gently on my office door. I looked up. She didn't step in, just leaned against the frame. Can I sit with you for a bit? I paused, then nodded. She came in, slow, sat in the chair across from mine. We didn't talk, just sat. I worked. She read. At some point, I looked up and found her watching me, not in a longing way, just with a kind of quiet awe, like she couldn't believe she still had this chance to see me. I forgot how peaceful this feels, she whispered. I nodded. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I smiled, just a little. She didn't react, didn't leap at the moment. She just smiled back, and returned to her book. 2 people in the same room, no masks, no lies, just the beginning of something new. Day 12. A rainy morning. One of those steady gray drizzles that made everything feel slower, softer. I sat by the window with my coffee. The kids were still asleep, the whole house hushed. Rachel joined me without a word, blanket draped over her shoulders. She held her own mug and sat on the opposite couch. The rain tapped gently against the glass. For a while, we just listened. Then she spoke. Do you remember the first time we danced in the kitchen? I looked at her. A ghost of a smile played on my lips. Yeah, we spilled pasta sauce everywhere. She laughed quietly. You said it was the most romantic mess you'd ever made. It was, I said. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was tender, shared. After breakfast, Lily came downstairs with a stack of old photo albums. I want to make a scrapbook, she said. Rachel sat on the floor with her. Daniel joined too. They spread everything out. Birthdays, beach days, Christmas mornings. I watched from the couch, quiet. Then I knelt down and joined them. Rachel's eyes met mine. She didn't say thank you. She didn't have to. Later that afternoon, I found a picture from our honeymoon. We were laughing, hair a mess, cheeks sunburnt, arms wrapped around each other like the world had just begun. I stared at it for a long time. Rachel sat beside me, carefully. I remember that day, she said. We got lost trying to find that little cove. And you wouldn't stop singing to distract me from yelling at the GPS, I added. She smiled. Then her face softened. I miss who we were, she said. I looked at her. Do you miss me, or do you miss being loved? She swallowed. I miss you, not just the way you loved me. I miss the way you made everything feel steady, safe, whole. I miss the man who looked at me like I was the center of something sacred. My voice was low, measured. That man didn't die, but he's not standing in the same place anymore. I know, she said. But I'm not standing where I was either. That night, after the kids were asleep, I stood in the hallway, listening. Rachel was humming, a soft tune, something old, something familiar. I opened the door to the living room. She was standing near the kitchen, barefoot, hair tied back, swaying lightly. I stepped in slowly. She turned, surprised. I held up my hand. She hesitated. Then took it. We danced. Slow, quiet. No music, just the sound of breath and heartbeats and rain still whispering outside. It wasn't a reconciliation. It wasn't a promise. It was a moment. And moments, real ones, are how healing begins. Day 13. I woke to the sound of soft voices downstairs. The kids were already up. Rachel was making pancakes. Lily's giggle echoed through the hall. For a moment, I let myself believe this was normal, that nothing had ever broken, that no vows had been betrayed. But reality, like memory, doesn't vanish with sunlight. I came downstairs. The smell of vanilla and syrup hung in the air. Daniel was setting the table. Rachel glanced at me and smiled. I nodded. During breakfast, Lily suddenly asked, "Mum, why did you leave us?" The room froze. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Rachel blinked. Her face paled. She looked down at her plate, then up at Lily. "I didn't leave you, sweetheart," she said gently. "I was confused. I made a big mistake, but I thought I needed space to figure out who I was." Daniel frowned. "Did you stop loving Dad?" Rachel's voice cracked. "No, I never stopped loving him. I lost sight of what love is supposed to look like. I thought love was about freedom. But I learned love is about staying, even when it's hard." The kids looked at her, quiet, processing. Then Lily leaned against her side. Rachel wrapped an arm around her, tears running silently. I didn't speak, but I watched. She didn't avoid it. She didn't lie. She let their questions land, and she answered them with truth, not excuses. Later that afternoon, I went into the kitchen for a drink. Rachel's phone was buzzing on the counter. I wasn't going to look, wasn't going to pry, but the screen lit up, a name I didn't recognize. Tyler. My stomach turned. 3 words, "Are you okay?" I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. When Rachel walked in, she saw me staring at the phone. She froze. Her eyes dropped to the screen. Then she slowly picked it up. "Read the message." "I didn't reply," she said softly. "Why didn't you block him?" She swallowed hard. "I didn't know he'd try to reach out again. I should have. I will. Now." I nodded once, but my voice was sharper than I expected. "Were you waiting, hoping he would?" "No," she said quickly. "I haven't thought about him, not since I came home. He doesn't matter to me." "But he mattered enough once," I said. Her shoulders dropped. She looked up at me, raw. "I'll show you, right now." She opened her phone, blocked the number, deleted the thread, then looked at me, not defiant, just clear. "I only want one man to have access to me now, and that's you." I didn't respond right away, just stared at her. Watched for any sign of manipulation, of performance. There was none. Still, the ache returned. That sting, that reminder that what we're building sits on top of ruin. But Rachel didn't run. She didn't break. She stood in the discomfort. Later that night, I found her crying quietly in the laundry room, tears running down her cheeks as she folded clothes. She didn't notice me, didn't ask for comfort. I walked away without her seeing me, because this time, the test wasn't for her, it was for me, to see if I could trust again. To see if she would still show up even when I didn't catch her fall. Day 14. 2 weeks. 14 days since Rachel came back through that door. 14 days of rebuilding routines, of sharing space, of trying to live in truth instead of illusion. This morning, I found her already outside. She was sitting on the back steps with her tea, wrapped in an old knitted blanket. The air was cool, crisp with the scent of early autumn. She looked up when I joined her. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning." We didn't talk much, just sipped our drinks and watched the leaves fall. It felt like something in us had aligned with the season, letting go, making space. After the kids left for school, Rachel asked if I had time to talk. We sat at the dining table. She placed a small box between us. Wooden, old, familiar. "I want to give you this," she said. "You gave it to me on our 5th anniversary. I used to keep my letters in it, ones you wrote me, cards, little notes." I opened the lid slowly. Inside were those folded memories, some faded, some crinkled, but all still here. "I kept them," she whispered, "even when I wasn't being the woman they were written for." I looked at her. She wasn't crying, she wasn't pushing, she was just offering. I ran my fingers over the top letter. One I'd written during a rough patch, years ago, before kids, before mortgages, before this kind of hurt was even imaginable. "I don't know what this means to you now," she said, "but it means something to me. I read them when I was gone, and I hated myself every time, because I knew I was running from the very love I used to pray for." My voice was quiet. "What are you hoping I'll do with this?" "Whatever feels right," she said. "If that means burning it, I'll do it with you. If that means you keep it in a drawer and never open it again, That's okay too. I just didn't want to hide it anymore. We sat in silence, not tense, just still. I'm not ready to forgive you, I said finally. But I'm not closing the door either. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time since this all began, she reached across the table. Slow. Not reaching for pity, just for connection. I let her take my hand. I can wait, she said. Later that night, Lily got a fever. Rachel rushed to her side, calm and collected. Held her hair back while she was sick. Whispered lullabies. Checked her temperature every hour. I stood in the doorway, watching, not just as a father, but as a man trying to see his wife. Not for what she did, but for who she is becoming. And maybe for the first time in this entire storm, I started to believe that something new could grow in the space where everything broke. Day 15. Lily's fever broke sometime in the night. Rachel barely slept. I could hear her from the hallway, pacing, checking, humming softly. When I got up in the morning, she was asleep in the chair beside Lily's bed, arms crossed, head tilted against the wall, still dressed in yesterday's clothes. I watched her for a moment, and I felt something inside me soften again. Not because the pain was gone, but because her effort, steady, quiet, unseen, was starting to matter. Later that day, with Lily napping and Daniel at a friend's house, we found ourselves in the kitchen. Together. Just the two of us. Rachel leaned on the counter, sipping tea. I was going through the mail. A flyer slipped out from between bills. Brightly colored, covered in pumpkins. Fall Fair, I read aloud. This Saturday. Petting zoo, hay rides, corn maze. Rachel looked up, eyes lighting with something close to hope. We used to take them every year. Yeah, I said. They used to get lost in that corn maze on purpose. And you'd yell, Marco, while I waited at the exit with caramel apples. I smirked. They never yelled back polo. They'd just giggle and hide. We both laughed then. Not forced, not polite, real. It caught us off guard. That sound, familiar, warm, almost sacred. When the laughter faded, she looked at me carefully. Would it be okay if we went, together, as a family? I didn't answer right away. I thought about how far we'd come in 15 days. How close I'd come to hating her. How far she'd come in showing up. We can try, I said. Her breath caught, not from excitement, from relief. I'll pack snacks, she said quickly. And a change of clothes in case Lily gets muddy. And I'll make sure Daniel doesn't bring his slingshot this time. I raised an eyebrow. That slingshot was legendary. She laughed. I still have the dent in the garage door to prove it. We spent the next hour planning. Which shoes the kids would need. How early to leave. Which stand had the best apple cider. And somewhere in the middle of that, it stopped being about the past. It became something new, something simple. A family planning a day. Together. Not because everything was healed, but because something was beginning to grow. Not trust, not yet, but possibility. Day 16, Saturday. The day of the fall fair. We woke early. Rachel already in the kitchen packing snacks, folding extra jackets, preparing like this was a mission, not just a trip to the fair. A chance to breathe in the same space as a family again. Daniel raced downstairs in full adventure mode. Lily followed, wearing rain boots 3 sizes too big. It felt chaotic. And alive. On the drive there, the kids fought over music, then sang along badly to old songs we used to play on road trips. Rachel glanced at me. We shared a smile. Something warm passed between us. When we arrived, the fairground smelled like cinnamon and hay. Leaves crunched under our feet. Children ran in every direction. The sky was clear, the air crisp. Daniel pulled us toward the hay rides. Lily tugged toward the pumpkin patch. We split for a bit. Rachel and I reunited at the corn maze. The kids darted inside, already shouting, Marco. We stood at the entrance. She looked up at me, squinting in the sunlight. I didn't think we'd get here, not really. Neither did I said. We walked the maze together, side by side, laughed when we got lost. Laughed harder when Lily scared us by jumping from behind a bale of hay. After cider and caramel apples, we sat on a bench near the petting zoo. The kids were feeding goats. Rachel leaned back, face glowing in the golden hour light. This is the first time I've seen them like this since before. They've needed this, I said. We all have. She turned toward me. I know today doesn't fix anything, but it matters, doesn't it? I met her eyes. It matters, I said. Then Lily came running, caramel on her chin. Take a picture of us, she shouted. Rachel pulled her close. Daniel squeezed in from the other side. I raised my phone, captured the moment. A picture of a mother holding her children, smiling like the past hadn't broken anything. Later, as the sun dipped below the trees and the crowds began to thin, Rachel reached for my hand. Just a touch. Fingers brushing. This time, I didn't pull away. I let her take it. Held it. Not tightly, not permanently, but willingly. We walked back to the car like that. Not as strangers, not as broken pieces, but as something in between, something beginning. Day 17, Sunday morning. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that used to feel like comfort before it ever felt like distance. Rachel was in the kitchen, the kids still asleep, the smell of cinnamon muffins drifting through the air. I walked in and poured a cup of coffee. She looked over her shoulder, gave me a tired but genuine smile. We stood in silence for a moment. Then I gestured toward the table. She nodded. We both sat. I looked at her, really looked. Her eyes had changed, still the same shade of blue, but softer now. Worn, maybe. Wiser. I held my cup, let the warmth steady my voice. Rachel, I said quietly, can I ask you something? She nodded immediately, no hesitation. Will you leave us again? Her breath hitched. She didn't look away, didn't flinch. No, she whispered. Even if things get hard. No, she repeated, stronger this time. I won't run again. I won't break what I'm trying to rebuild. You, the kids, this family, you're the only thing I know for certain I never want to lose again. I studied her, the sincerity, the weight of that promise. I've been holding on to that fear, I admitted, that one day I'll come home and you'll be gone again. Or worse, that you'll be here but already drifting. She reached across the table. Not demanding, just offering, her hand open. I placed mine in hers, felt the warmth, the grounding. I don't need a month to find myself anymore, she said. I found myself the night I realized I could lose you, and I didn't like the woman I had become. I want to be someone you can trust again, someone our children can look up to again. A long silence passed, but it wasn't empty, it was full, of truth, of pain, of the slow, tentative rebuilding of something once beautiful. I still have bad days, I said, moments where I remember and it all comes crashing back. I know, she whispered, and I'll stay through all of them, every hard moment, every step forward, and every step back. I'm not going anywhere. I looked down at our hands, intertwined, still unsure if I could ever feel what I used to. But in that moment, I realized something important. I wanted to try, not just for the kids, not for the history, but because I saw someone sitting across from me who wasn't asking for blind trust, only the chance to earn it. I stood. She followed, and without a word, I wrapped my arms around her, held her. Really held her. Her breath caught against my shoulder. Then came the tears, silent, grateful, real. We stayed like that for a long time. And for the first time since everything fell apart, it didn't feel broken. It felt like home. Day 18. Something had shifted. We moved through the day like a couple rediscovering a rhythm they thought they'd forgotten. Soft touches, shared glances. Laughter that didn't feel out of place anymore. The kids were at Claire's house for the night. She offered, maybe she saw it in my voice when I called, that something was close. That something real was ready to happen. The house was quiet after dinner. Rachel stood by the sink, drying dishes. I leaned against the counter, watching her. She glanced over her shoulder. What? She said with a shy smile. I don't remember the last time I saw you this way, I said. She turned slowly, her face open, soft. I've missed you, she whispered. The silence between us wasn't awkward anymore. It was filled with something electric, something alive. I'm still afraid, I said. I am too, she said. But I'm not running from it. I walked toward her. She didn't move, didn't breathe. I need to know, I said, my voice quiet, that you're not reaching for comfort tonight, that you're reaching for me. I'm reaching for the man who never stopped being my home, she said. I'm reaching for the man I broke and want to spend the rest of my life helping heal. Tears welled in her eyes. Mine too. I stepped closer, touched her face. She leaned into it, closed her eyes. I don't want to pretend, I said. Then don't, she replied. Just feel it. Just be here with me. And I kissed her. Not a desperate kiss, not one of lust, but of memory, of pain, of survival, of choosing. Her arms wrapped around me like she was holding something fragile, precious, and I held her like she was something I thought I'd lost forever. We didn't speak again that night. We moved through the house slowly, lights low, hands lingering, breath catching. In the bedroom, we undressed one another with care, not hunger, just reverence. And when we came together, it wasn't fireworks. It was tears, silent tears, a release, a breaking open. Afterward, she lay against my chest, fingers trailing lazy circles over my heart. I held her. And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I didn't feel the ache of what we'd lost. I felt the miracle of what we were still finding. I love you, she whispered. I believe you, I replied. And this time, I did. Day 19. I woke before the sun. Rachel was still curled against me. Her breath steady, her fingers resting gently against my ribs. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guarded. didn't feel hollow. I just felt full. I watched the morning light begin to stretch across the ceiling, soft orange bleeding into pale gold. It touched her face and she stirred. Eyes fluttered open. She looked up at me and smiled. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi." Neither of us said anything more. We didn't need to. There was peace in the silence now. Later, after breakfast, simple eggs and toast, nothing fancy, we sat on the porch with our coffee. The cool breeze rustled the trees. A neighbor's dog barked in the distance. Rachel leaned into my shoulder. No words, just closeness. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. I exhaled slowly. "We keep showing up," I said. "One day at a time. No pretending this didn't happen. No pushing it away. Just showing up." She nodded. "I can do that." The kids came home around noon. Claire dropped them off, hugging me a little longer than usual. Her eyes found Rachel's, no hostility, but caution. Rachel stepped forward. "Thank you," she said, "not just for the kids, but for loving him when I forgot how." Claire didn't reply right away, then nodded. "Don't forget again." "I won't," Rachel said. That afternoon, we played board games with the kids. Lily laughed so hard she fell off her chair. Daniel tried to cheat and failed miserably. We laughed together, a real family again, not perfect, but honest. Later that night, after the kids were in bed, Rachel found me in the hallway. She wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. "Can I ask you something?" "Always," I said. "Do you feel different today?" I turned in her arms, looked down at her. "Yes," I said, "not fixed, not finished, but different." She rested her head against my chest. "I'll never be able to undo what I did, but I'll never stop trying to make the rest of our story worth staying for." I kissed the top of her head, held her there, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't think about the pain. I thought about the future. Day 21. 3 weeks since she came home. I stood in the backyard just after sunrise, a cup of coffee warming my hands. The morning was still, birds just starting to stir. Rachel slid the back door open quietly and stepped outside, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. She didn't say anything. She just leaned her head against my arm. We watched the light change together. "I didn't think we'd get here," she whispered. "Neither did I said. "But we're here." She turned toward me, her eyes soft. There was no makeup today. No defenses. Just her. Just us. "I know there will still be days when the past creeps in," she said. "There will," I replied, "but I want the future more than I fear the memories." That landed, in a way no apology ever had. I set down my mug and took her hands, held them gently. "We can build something new," I said. "Not a copy of what we had, but something stronger, something that knows what it costs to break and still chooses to hold." Tears gathered in her eyes. "I'm in," she said, and I believed her, not because she was perfect now, not because I'd forgotten, but because love, real love, isn't about what stays unbroken. It's about what's rebuilt when it falls apart. We made breakfast together, played with the kids, laughed like it didn't ache to do so. And sometime that afternoon, in the middle of folding laundry and packing school lunches, I caught her looking at me. "I love you," she said suddenly. "I know," I replied, walking over. "I love you too," and I kissed her. No sadness, no ghosts, just love. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. We were still healing, still fragile, but we were together, and that was everything. And that ends today's story. Thank you for listening. We will be uploading more shortly. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you soon.